This just in, the Suez Canal has become a center of aggression between Egypt and Israel. Located in northern Egypt, the canal links the Mediterranean and Red Seas, providing the shortest sea route from Europe to the Indian Ocean.
The Suez Canal was originally owned privately by British and French investors. This year, however, on July 26, 1956, Egypt's president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, seized and nationalized it.
This worried many Western governments, as the canal was a vital route for oil traveling to Britain. If Egypt blocked the flow of oil, Nasser could badly damage the British economy. Along with France and the regional ally, Israel, Britain began plotting a military response.
Egypt's stated reason for taking over the canal was to use the shipping tolls in order to finance construction of the Aswan Dam, which controlled flooding on the Nile and provided hydroelectricity for the country.
Here's what an Egyptian citizen had to say about the Suez Canal. So how do you feel about your country taking over the canal and making it yours?
I mean, it's going to benefit Egypt, and I think we deserve it more than the British and French investors. And after all, it is on Egyptian land, so...
Alright, thanks for your time. While Israel had an alliance with France and Britain, Egypt obtained military arms from the Soviet Union. Britain had a secret attack in mind, and without informing other NATO allies, such as the US and Canada, Israel forces advanced on October 29th. When Egyptian troops refused to retreat, Britain and France began bombing the Suez Canal zone.
The United States didn't want a war, and they urged Britain to seek peace. Britain's aggression, however, had caused the biggest rift between these two important allies in the 20th century. We decided to interview a British citizen and figure out what their thoughts on the situation were.
Excuse me, sir. What are your thoughts on the Suez Canal crisis?
You know, the Suez Canal is very vital for our economy because of its oil routes, and without it, no more economy, not enough teeth, you know what I mean?
Alright, thank you so much. Canadian public opinion was divided, as some felt that it was their duty to support Britain. Privately, however, Ottawa strongly objected to military action, concerned that it was dividing the Commonwealth, damaging relations with the US, and risking a wider war.
We also decided to interview a Canadian bystander and figure out what his thoughts on the situation were.
Britain's an important part of our history, and I feel like it's our duty to help them, because I know that if we were in the same position right now, that they would help us.
Nah, if we take part in this conflict, it could result in a much greater war than it needs to be. I don't want to associate with Britain anymore.
Lester Pearson, Canada's Secretary of State for External Affairs, began working with colleagues at the UN, developing the idea of a large-scale peacekeeping force.
On November 4th, 57 UN states voted in favor of the idea and 19 abstained. No country voted against the peacekeeping mission. The next day, however, British and French paratroops ignored the vote and landed in the canal zone.
The US continued to pressure Britain into finding a peaceful resolution. A ceasefire was arranged, beginning on November 6, following the arrival of the UN peacekeepers in the canal area.
Pearson's solution allowed Britain, France, and Israel to withdraw their forces without giving the appearance of having been defeated. A United Nations emergency force was placed by late November.
Wow, Lester Pearson does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize for his initiative, don't you think?
Who knows, he might just end up winning one. What do you guys think? Will Pearson's role in creating the UN's first peacekeeping force positively impact the future? Stay tuned right here on KRM News.